We're going to talk about two things today. The first is even and odd functions, and the second one is evaluating using the calculator. I'm going to try and go through this pretty fast. Even and odd functions really is not that big of a deal, but students really struggle with it. Basically, we've already talked about even and odd functions. We did this back during pre-calculus. I think it was in section 1.2 or 1.3. We talked about whether or not a function is even or odd is based on its symmetry. You guys try and do the it's even or odd based on the exponents. If all the exponents are even, then it's even. If all the exponents are odd, then it's odd. But with trig functions, it's helpful for us because it helps us evaluate trig functions. And I'm going to tell you, do not panic about this. It does not show up that often. So first of all, I like to memorize just the even ones because all the trig functions are either even or odd. So if you memorize the even ones, then you know that all the other ones are odd. The only ones that are even are cosine and secant. And as we know, cosine and secant are reciprocals of each other. So really, as long as you can remember cosine is even and his reciprocal is, then you have them memorized because all the other ones then are odd. Now what this means for us is that when you evaluate an even function, so if you're trying to find the cosine of pi over 4, and you are evaluating the cosine of negative pi over 4, when you have an even function, the negative of the angle doesn't even matter. You're going to get the same answer here. This is going to be the square root of 2. This is going to be the square root of 2. That's all it means. Where with a sine, if you did the sine of pi over 4 and the sine of negative pi over 4, this would be square root of 2 over 2. But this one would be negative square root of 2 over 2. So they are not the same value. They're opposites of each other. The odds are opposites. If the angles are opposites, the odd ones have opposite values. If the angles are opposite, the evens have the same value. That's all you have to remember with it. That's all you have to do. So if you're given, for example, the sine of some angle is 1/3. Just make up some number. They might ask, what's the sine of the negative angle? Well, the sine value is obviously going to be the same value because those are both y values, but our angles here are not the same. So then you have to stop and think, since these angles are opposite of each other, is it opposite and odd, which means my answers would be opposite, or is it opposite and even, which means my answer would be the same? Well, here sine is an odd function, so since we're taking the opposite angle there, my answer would be the opposite. So my answer would be negative 1/3. That's all they're asking you to do with it. They also could ask you what's the cosecant of theta. Now notice here the angle doesn't change at all, but the trig function did. But we know something about these trig functions. Sine and cosecant are reciprocal functions. So if I know the sine is 1/3 and I'm asking for the cosecant, which is the reciprocal of that, I'm just going to flip that fraction and get 3 over 1 or 3. So you're going to be asked to do that today in your homework. The other thing you're going to be asked to do today in your homework is use your calculator. Today, all of your problems are going to be in radians. So you're going to want to make sure that you're in radian mode. So if you're using your calculator, you turn it on. To check to see what's mode it's in, you're going to hit mode here. And this list is going to come up. And 2 down from where it's blinking, it says radian degree. Degree is highlighted right now. I'm going to have all my problems be in radians. So I'm going to want to arrow down till it's highlighted over radians and hit enter. Now it's in radians. So now if I want to do anything, like the sine of 2.1, that's radians because there's no degree symbol there. So I'm going to do sine 2.1, and then there is the answer, 0.8632. Now, they're also going to ask you about the reciprocal functions. So they might ask for the cosecant of 1.2. Now here, it's the function that's the reciprocal. So cosecant of 1.2 is the same as 1 over the sine. Sorry, I keep saying 1.2, but it's 2.1. Cosecant of 2.1 is the same as 1 over the sine of 2.1. You're not taking the reciprocal of 2.1, you're taking the reciprocal of the whole thing. So when we put that in the calculator, we're going to do 1 divided by, and then the sine of 2.1, and then enter. And we get 1.1585. So try the problems that are listed in Google Classroom. Do the best you can. We will grade that as well as the previous day, Monday's homework.